This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Cassells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, The True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Stories, The True and the Fictional. This is an exciting episode because when we started doing interviews, our guest Honey Parker was the second person we ever interviewed. So welcome back, Honey Parker. How are you?
Why, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. And the last time we spoke, I was locked down with COVID. I was hiding in a bedroom.
Yes. And I had a mattress against my wall.
Yeah, it's hard to forget that.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are better.
They're a lot better. They're a lot better. And you've written how many books have you written now? Is this your fourth or your fifth or?
This is my fourth. So 2 books since we last spoke. The previous book was the third in the Carefulish series, which is my last series. And this is V-Life. It's the first book in my new series.
Awesome. Well, we are going to dive into all about that because vampires is a very cool thing to write about. Product placement there on the mug, I see.
Do you see my swag mug?
That's funny. I got my books on my mug too.
Oh, hold on one second. I got to do a screenshot while we've got this. Perfect.
And product placement.
Exactly.
But yes, because you're on for the second time, we have a second round of icebreakers to hit at you. We have been told these are a little bit trickier than the first ones, but
okay.
We'll see how you go. Are you ready?
I'm never ready, so let's just do it.
Okay. Well, the first one should be pretty easy. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Everything.
Everything? All at once?
Yeah, I think I pretty much wanted to be everything. I wanted to be I wanted to do comedy. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be an illustrator, animation illustrator. I wanted to be an advertising executive. I wanted to be a professional, some professional sports. I didn't even know which one, but I kind of wanted to do everything.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much me as well. I wanted to. Yeah. I was really into football or soccer, as you guys call it. Have a Mighty Ducks story with that. We had a coach come in, and he asked for the worst possible team in the club, and it was us. Like we were the worst. And within 3 seasons, we were champions. Like it was, pretty, cool story.
How is that not a Disney movie?
Yeah, well, it is. Except they cram it into a year. Like one season we're heroes, and no, our coach was more. He was a professional player, and he just more took a longer approach in seeing what the strengths of each player and all that stuff like that. And it's the more realistic Mighty Duck story.
Yeah, well, we don't need realistic in a Disney movie. No,
that's right. Yeah, no, but
I do love a good montage, though. Like you progressing quickly.
Especially if it's got a banger tune behind it too. You need the right song.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to do comedy as well, and I wanted to. I don't know what else. Acting for a while, but then I don't know. Now I'm onto my 4th job. I just got a new job. Starting a couple of weeks. Oh no. When this episode drops, it'll be my birthday, and it'll be a couple of days from starting a new job. So
when does this drop?
On my birthday, June 19th.
June 19th. Wow. I did not know that was your birthday.
It'll be June 18th.
That gives me time. I still have time to get your present.
That's all right. It'll be June 18th for you, I think, because it's the time differences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So that's cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. One of my favorite
Okay.
questions. If you could have a talking animal sidekick, what would you pick?
Talking animal sidekick. It may not sound that interesting, but I got to say a cat. Got to be a
Cat?
cat.
Yeah.
No doubt, because like a cat would give it to you straight. Like a cat would be like, "You're not walking out of the house like that, are you?"
Yeah.
And but then like a cat would also have I think a cat would have good gossip,
Yeah.
and be good at gossiping, just like
Yeah.
hanging out, talking smack in a safe zone.
They do kind of judge you with their eyes too. Don't they?
Oh, absolutely. With everything about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of cat. Look, no, look. If I go to someone's house and they have a cat, cool. I'll pat
Yeah.
it. I'll get along with it. I cannot live with a cat.
But see, like if a talking sidekick was a dog,
Yeah.
it would just be too needy. Like, I'm gonna make you happy
Yes.
now. How about now? Can I make you happier? What can I do for you?
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you. Do you love me too? Because I
Yeah.
love you so much. I love you more.
I need to say it. Am I a good boy? Yeah. No.
Who's the best boy?
Yeah.
Is it me?
My sister has a whippet, and it is the most neediest dog you will ever meet. Like, it's just.
And I'm not against dogs.
No.
I've I love taking a dog for a walk. It's a fantastic thing, but yeah, it gets a little much.
Yeah, no, I love dogs. One day I'll get a husky, which is the worst dog to get apparently. But
Why is that?
Because they're so intelligent that like they can understand the command, but they'll choose to ignore it. Like, like that sort of, which is, it's funny because they're the closest thing to a wolf and they're the friendliest dog you'll ever have. But like if you say sit, it'll go, maybe, okay, yeah, sure. It's not just, it doesn't.
Yeah, that would not be my talking sidekick.
We had a breeder up a show husky breeder up the road from us a few years back, and they're 6 foot high fences, concrete, because they're escape artists, so.
That's what I've heard about them, that they run.
Yeah.
And
they'll know, because I heard a story about a guy that he'd go to work, and 5 minutes after he's left for work, the dog escapes the yard, and he's back 10 minutes before he gets home, every single time.
Have you ever seen where they put like a little cam on a cat or a dog?
Yes, yeah.
And you just see their path? I love that.
Yeah.
I could watch that all day long.
Yes. Definitely need one of them on a husky.
Yeah.
All right. Now to get a little crazy, a little fun.
Okay.
So I'm assuming because you're in America, let's say you're president for a day. What do you do?
Ooh, president for a day. Ay. In my wonderful country where everybody gets along so well. That's so hard. because you want everybody to just
get along,
be rational, and get along, but you can't mandate that. I think what I think I would just have, like, everybody has to watch It's a Wonderful Life, and let's see what happens. Like, maybe something will seep in.
Yes.
And maybe that'll work. And
inspirational movie day.
yeah, that's I'm going for that.
Yeah. No, I think that would be a great executive order.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to put a rule down with this next question and say you can't pick your own. All right, but or let's assume that it's already being made. What book or story would you like to see adapted to film?
Not my own.
Well, let's assume that yours already is.
So first my own,
yes.
Because I got to be honest. Okay. Yeah. Book or story I'd like to see adapted. that's not my own. Ma. Well, I tell you, see, this is a more serious answer. Um, a, I read a book years ago called What Makes Sammy Run that was recommended to me by a friend of mine, by Mike Gainey. And it was so well written. It was one of the best written books I've ever read. And I think they may have tried to make it. I don't, because it was written years ago, decades ago. And I don't think they ever got it together. It's kind of the story of Hollywood, really. It's this guy who, as a young man, kind of talks his way onto working on a newspaper in New York, and slowly rolls his way up the ladder in Hollywood to where he's kind of running the whole thing, and it's a morality play. It's really good.
Cool.
So I picked that one.
Good choice. Do you know who you'd want to direct it?
I think I should direct it. I think me.
Okay, that's allowed. That's allowed. Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
allow it, and then you can
Thank
go.
you.
Hey.
I appreciate that.
And then now you can do V Life.
Exactly. I'm going to use it as a springboard to do V Life.
Yes. See my success, now this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just don't let it do what it did to Taika Waititi's career, how he made absolute gems and then he got given the big blockbusters and now he makes rubbish.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen.
I'm not going to point fingers, but yeah. I get a few names came to mind.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Jojo Rabbit, but that's just an absolute gem of a film.
That movie blew my mind.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Just amazingly good.
Even with a New Zealand Hitler. He's trying so hard to hide his accent, but he's like,
it's like the kinder, happier Hitler.
Yeah. No, that was so much better than I thought it would be. But
it was excellent. Of this last round of films, I thought Poor Things knocked my socks off. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I think it's on my list.
Worth it.
Yeah. Now, the last movie I watched was Godzilla -1, which is the Japanese takes. It's all in Japanese. So there's an English dub, but it's not as good. Brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's just like, you guys created Godzilla. You guys should keep Godzilla. Just don't let the Americans make any more.
That's great. A friend of mine, Frank Woodward, did a movie called Men in Suits, and it's all about the actors who get in suits to perform in movies. And he interviewed the original Godzilla, the original guy who was in the costume.
Wow.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That would have been the best job, being Godzilla.
I think it was very, very hot and uncomfortable, and I think there were wires jabbing into him.
Yes. Well, the idea of it is fun.
You show up at like your friend's wedding.
Yeah. Well, maybe that was intentional, because he needs to get destructive, and if you're getting poked and prodded and it's hot, you go, die.
I'm sure that was by design.
Yes.
That makes
completely intentional. Completely intentional.
Yeah.
All right. Final question.
Okay.
Elon Musk has perfected his electric time machine, and he's put you in charge. Yeah. Takes a few times. He's put you in charge of organizing a dinner party of historical figures. Who is on your guest list?
Does he have to come?
No, he just said he doesn't have to be there.
Okay. All right. Historical figures. Like, I would do like a sassy broads dinner, like a sassy broads from history, get like Ginger Rogers and Tina Turner, Fanny Bryce. Who else? We got to get Mary Shelley. Got to get Mary Shelley in there. I think my mom. Got to have my mom. Bring her. Frida Kahlo probably has a story or two to tell. Yeah, that would kind of be my bend. Would be just like some sassy broads, dames through history.
Cool.
I think I would have to have Queen Elizabeth there too. You know, she saw everything.
Yeah. What time period are we talking? Like, what part of her life would you nab her from?
Oh gosh, that's a good question.
Or would you get like 8 different versions of?
Well, that would be great. I mean, I think you'd probably have to get her closer to the end where she may be more willing to spill the beans.
Yeah.
You know, where she's not quite as guarded. You know, she's not the one in front so much anymore. Yeah.
I mean, and you could technically throw this party in the future, so you know, modern day people wouldn't know about it. So.
Oh, so I could get some modern day people too?
Oh yeah, if you want. Like I'm just thinking like if you want her to spill the beans, only so many people would know about it, or you have it in a time period where no one would find out.
Right. Well, if I can get somebody from present day, I'd really like Amy Poehler there. She's got to be good for a laugh, right? Yeah.
Cool. So it's an all girls party. No guys allowed. Big sign out the front saying no boys.
You know, it just changed. I'm not anti.
No.
But it changes the dynamic. There's shit that happens when it's just women. It's kind of like a little safer and more stuff gets said.
Yeah. What about if you bring someone more flamboyant like Elton John to play the music for you, or?
Oh, to DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a safe one. Elton or Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Oh, how good is Freddie Mercury?
You know, when you wanted to have, well, you talked about a soundtrack to the montage of your soccer team. The first song in my head was "Don't Stop Me Now."
Yeah.
It's great for a montage.
Yeah. And a lot of Queen's great for a montage.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. I loved. I don't know if you saw the Weird Al Yankovic movie biopic that he did. You know Weird Al Yankovic?
I met him.
Yeah. Oh, you legend. I love him. But no, he made a movie and Daniel Radcliffe played him.
How did I miss that?
It is so funny. Because it's a parody of all the biopics you've seen. So some of it's true and some of it's not true.
Okay.
And obviously not true. You know, like he's dating Madonna and you know.
Are you sure that's not true?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. And then she gets kidnapped by Pablo Escobar, and then he has to go and save her, and it's just all this stupid.
What is the name of this movie?
It's you can just type in Weird Al Yankovic biopic.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll find it. It's Daniel Radcliffe. It's
Weird the Al Yankovic story or something like that. But it is so good. It is so funny.
I will watch it tonight.
Yeah, and I lost my train of thought what I was going with that, but
Daniel Radcliffe, anything in
no,
there?
It's have to go back for that. Okay. Yeah. No, but look, fantastic movie. I'll just say that. I literally lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. While I'm editing it, I'll might, you know, answer my own question. Put it in.
You're like a genius, man. He comes up with shit like that.
Yeah. That's the point. Is Freddie Mercury in reality got Weird Al Yankovic to play at the Live Aid, like he's another one rides the bus, you know, another one bites the dust, like another one rides the bus.
Yeah.
And like in the Weird Al Yankovic biopic, he gets asked, "Oh, will you play Live Aid?" And he's like, "Nah." Like that's like that's okay. Yeah. But no, it's a fantastic film. I don't know what it's on. But I got it on Blu-ray, so
I'll put my husband on it. He can find anything.
Well worth the watch. It is so out there, and it's fun figuring out what actually happened.
I'm trying to think. There was a kind of like a biopic. Who's the guy who did the Gong Show? Kind of sounds similar to that, where it was like, how much of this is true and how much isn't?
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, that's what I hate about biopics, is because they change so much. They just we don't want to talk about this. We don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Like the Freddie Mercury one.
I was just going to say,
it's just like none of that's like, I don't know, some of it's true, some of it isn't. You just don't know.
And they washed over a lot.
Yeah. But I heard
it was a good movie.
Yeah, well, that's always the case, It's just like,
yeah.
I heard that the Elton John one is pretty just like, he's just like, nah, throw it all, everything that's happened, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, he was involved with it.
Yeah, so I get the same with history movies and stuff, true stories. I get annoyed when I watch a true story and they go, oh, I'm going to look into this now. Oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't.
Well, when I said my husband can find anything, as Mr. Parker, as that's his nickname. If we're watching something that's historical fiction, any kind of biopic, he's got, a device out and he's fact checking everything and looking stuff up. And so like I'm getting side information and extra tidbits and all. Yeah. So I feel like I always get like a little lagniappe, little extra.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't do it, but he does.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have it.
I got a friend who makes his own movies, and he's done a few. He's working on another historical accurate film, but he did a bushranger one about one of our outlaws called Ben Hall, and he's just like so accurate to the T. Like, he's annoyingly accurate. If he's got exact quotes, he'll use the exact quotes, and then he'll kind of put fiction stuff in it when he has to, like, to fill it out. And he's a brilliant filmmaker. Matthew Holmes, we've had him on our podcast a few times. I think it's probably on Prime. You could probably watch some of his films. But
okay.
Yeah, he's like the kind of guy that's like watches the historical films and goes, that's annoying, and then goes, I'm gonna make my own. So at least he's doing something about it.
Yeah, it is. I do play the game when I'm watching something historical. I'm like, oh, that actually wasn't invented then. Or like that cup I'm using that. No, they didn't have that. No.
Yeah. Oh, like the time in Game of Thrones when they accidentally left the phone on the table.
Did that happen?
Yeah, they did. Then they edited it out pretty quickly. Like, I think it aired on television or whatever, and then they were like, quick, edit it out, reload it up.
So I watched Game of Thrones, but I didn't watch it like as it came out.
Yeah.
I watched it later and just binged the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Just
so you wouldn't have seen it. You wouldn't have seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now I feel better because I would have been mad about it. I'm always looking for like, oh, I see like a shadow of the boom.
Yeah. My favorite one was I went and saw, I think it was the season 6 premiere of Walking Dead. They had it out at the Sydney Opera House on the big screen, free screening and all that stuff. So we all went down. Yeah. And because it was so big on a big screen, it's just like I like watching extras. I like, that's just something I love to do, especially if it's a really older film where the directors don't care about the extras. They're just there to kind of, fill space. But in recent ones, they more particular. But this zombie was going through the door, and he broke character because he was worried about tripping. So it's like, and they just go straight, stepped over, It's like the most careful zombie you've ever seen.
That's good. Yeah. I'm always looking for, like, in an older movie, who's got a bit part that turned out to be, years later, a big star. There's a campy movie from like the 60s called Valley of the Dolls with Patty Duke and who the heck else was in it? But towards the beginning of the movie, there's this guy knocking on the door, or her, the actress's door. They need you in 5, and it was Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, I know you.
Yeah, that's like my favorite's Back to the Future 2 with Elijah Wood, who played Frodo in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, one of the little kids in Back to the Future going, "You mean you got to use your hands? That's a baby's toy." That's Elijah Wood,
Oh my gosh! Somebody showed me. This was yesterday. It was this movie, like it was 30 minutes long, maybe, and it was made in, I guess, the early 70s, and it was about the future and this house in the future, and one of the kids was Jason Bateman.
Wow!
And it had to be one of his earliest things. He's just this little evil kid.
Yeah. I love seeing not well-known actors as kids. It's just
Yeah.
I think the guy. I don't know if you know the Kick-Ass movies. I'm trying to think. Aaron Taylor Johnson's his name. He's pretty big at the moment. I think they wanted to play the next James Bond, but he was in Shanghai Nights with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson as a little Cockney kid. Like, oh, what you doing, Cup? Yeah.
Okay.
And he grew up to be he's a superstar now.
I actually, when I was in New York doing a lot of commercials, I worked on Parker Brothers Nerf toys and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And I worked with some kids that became, the kid who was, oh my gosh, I think her name is Hayden. She was in a TV show, the TV show Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I did a commercial with her. A kid that ended up being Peter Pan in the movie with Robin Williams. I worked with them all doing commercials.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. I'm still sad about Robin Williams, I'll tell you that. I just he was my childhood. And I found out recently that they have Mrs. Doubtfire. They have so much material that they have a G-rated, M-rated, and R-rated versions of the film. I'm just like, can you release them all, please?
That would be worth a watch.
Yeah, I think it's probably the same with Aladdin. I think they just left him in a room doing the genie for.
He just ran with that.
Hours.
I saw him once live. I saw him at Lincoln Center in New York. Was epic.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a show.
It would be. I have a friend who he used to he worked in Hollywood a little bit more commercials, and kind of he was friends with Ridley Scott and that sort of thing, like more TV commercial stuff he'd do. But he ran into Robin Williams on the street somewhere in San Francisco, maybe, can't remember the exact town, and he said, like, I think Robin Williams had put on a bit of weight for a role or something, and he was trying to get fit, and he was jogging. And my mate was like, "Geez, you're fat," or something like that. And he's just like, "F you, man," Not Robin Williams not in the best place because he's probably stressed out or something.
Well, who's in a good place for that?
Yeah, I know. But then Robin Williams doing stand up at like some local place. I think this is the 80s or something. And my mate goes in to watch him play. To stand up, and Robin Williams spots him in the crowd, and he goes, "You see this guy here?" And then starts doing a whole bit about Australians for half an hour or something. So it was really funny.
That's fantastic. How did he recognize him? That's insane.
Oh, my mate's pretty distinctive. That's just something and if someone calls you fat, you're probably going to remember it
till the day I die.
Yeah.
I'm taking it to the grave.
This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today.
All right, let's talk about your book. I think we should talk about your book.
I think we should too. It took, time.
Well, it is like 40 something chapters. I've read 4 chapters so far, and I will continue to read it. I'm a very slow reader, but I sat and read 3 chapters in a row because and I'm not just saying it, it's that good, fellas. It's that good.
Well, thank you so much. I myself am also a slow reader, but you probably read the best 4 chapters. No, I saved the best chapters for later. So the book is V Life, V standing for vampire, and it's that often told tale of a Jewish American princess turned vampire. Her name is Sugar Bernstein, and she's turned into a vampire against her will. And when the book starts, the love of her life is dead, and she has hit the road in an RV. Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And she's outrunning evil, and I say bloodbaths and guilt baths. She's outrunning evil and a Jewish family.
Yeah, no, well, you had me at the pun because when you sent me the synopsis, I was just going, you can't invite them to your bat mitzvah. I'm just like, I love puns. I can't not, like, who hates pun? Really, seriously, who hates a pun? No one hates a pun.
I like a well-placed pun when you don't see it coming.
Yes.
Then I like it. Then I'm for it.
Yeah.
So it's Sugar Bernstein, and it was such a surprise to me to write a vampire book, because I've read vampire books, but I'm not one of those people who just devours them. I've read all the standard ones, Anne Rice and Dracula and a few others. But I had gotten this idea. My husband and I were traveling the country in an RV because we were doing our podcast.
Yeah.
And we did all of our interviews in person. We would say we show up with wine and microphones.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that's kind of what we did. And I had thought while we were on the road, I thought, this would kind of be perfect for vampires because you're on the move and nobody notices you're not getting older, and you're kind of on the edge of society, and it would work. So I had that thought in my head, and then strangely this led to comedy. But good friends of mine, he died unexpectedly. He died in a ski accident. And so here's my girlfriend left with 2 kids. And, typically in a relationship, you kind of divide the tasks.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden she was left having to do all the tasks that he had done, all the tech stuff that he had taken care of, this and that. And that really hit me. And so I was like, it was this combination of this pissed off Jewish vampire hitting the road and having to solve like the mechanic, just like the day-to-day nightmare that is RV living that nobody shows you in their fun, TikTok videos where everything's just like, and I'm laying on my bed with my cup of perfect coffee and watching the sun come up and blah. It's like, no, like this hose isn't going to connect correctly and sewage is going to go flying, as it did with us. And so I was like, oh my God, she's got to figure out how to be a vampire. She's got to figure out how to, deal with mechanics. There's a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
And evil is on her tail. So there we are.
Yeah.
The tale of Sugar Bernstein.
I did very strong opening. Like one you opened with the villain setup, which is just like it's I grew up on superhero movies and stuff like that. I love it where he sets up the villain and then you meet the hero kind of thing. And I just one I love that, but that opening, changing the tire on the camper van. And then the car drives past, and I'm just like, yeah, I could just see it. I could visualize that whole thing where she just gets frustrated. No, spoiler alert, chapter 1, but she just throws the car.
Right, it's chapter 1.
It's just like, she's trying to do it the proper way, trying to, stay under the radar, I guess. And then it's just like, throw the tire. It was just.
It's when I write, I tend to, a lot of things surprise me along the way, but I usually know my open and I almost always know my last sentence.
Yeah.
And I had always seen her lift that van.
Yeah.
Like I just knew that was going to be the start. That she was just going to be so frustrated changing that tire, and it's like done.
Yeah.
When I remember, are you familiar with an old TV show called Bewitched?
Yes, very much so.
So the wife, Samantha, who was my hero and one of the reasons I went into advertising, she would always try to do things, the mortal way.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, screw it. I'm just making it happen. And she would just do it. She was definitely one of my heroes. She can come to my dinner party as well with all the dames. Yep. I want Samantha there. But yeah, I knew that was going to kind of be a thing.
Yeah. So when you write stuff, like, do you map it out, or you just go beginning, end, and then you just kind of try to fill it out? As you go.
I always know what my major beats are.
Yeah.
I mean, things may change, but I have an idea of the major story points that I'm going to try to drive to, pun intended. And then I tend to, as I'm writing, figure out, where do I want to get today? What's my end point today? And then I'll think about, like, what are a few sub points that I want to hit on the way to that. And then I go, and then I just let it happen and try to get out of the way. I try to know my characters well enough that they kind of help me get where I need to go.
Yeah, that's cool. So, how many characters are in there? Because I'm only 4 chapters in, but it doesn't seem like there's that many characters yet.
Okay, so you haven't met the circle of friends.
No.
So that's 4 key characters.
Yep.
And there is just on the periphery another key character, and then the evil presence. And so even though the love of her life is dead, there are flashbacks. So we get to know him as well. And we get to know her family a lot through flashbacks. Oh, and she's stayed connected with her brother. She's got a twin brother. And he was like the one person that she couldn't cut off, even though she knows it was probably a mistake. As it was. But so he's pretty prevalent in the story as well.
Yeah, that's cool. And you said you're going to do another 2-3 books. How many books in the series?
That's a good question. I originally thought, if everything worked and people were into it, I originally thought 3, but truthfully, with her driving around in an RV, there's so many places she can go. And even though in this book, there is this one force of evil, there's more evil to be had, so if this villain, if I fall, who will pick up my flag? It's there are more in the wings. So I'm not sure, I think it really is going to depend on the reception it gets. And as long as I feel like I'm making it fresh, like I know what the last sentence is for the next book, and it's nuts. It's nuts.
Is that a direct quote there?
Pardon?
Is that a direct quote there? It ends with "it's nuts."
No, it does not. No. But the last line is
a great one.
Like what?
Yeah.
It's there's because it's this balance between, the vampire world and just real living.
Yeah.
That when something from the real world happens, it's so incongruous, but it's like, the world's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's such a cool concept. I love it. Like even when it comes to movies, I love the road films, as they call them, where it's just like just traveling along, kind of.
Yeah. And when we were doing it, and one of our favorite things about tooling around in an RV was meeting people.
Yeah.
And we met a ton of people, and from all over the US, and as different as people in this country like to think that they are, and no, there's such overlap. It's incredible. Although there are different mannerisms and things. Like in my second book, I'm currently physically right now, I'm on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So I'm about 45 minutes east of New Orleans. And what a colorful area this is. So in the next book, which I'm writing right now, I mean, she's on her way here. Because awesome. This town has so much going on. It's wild.
So you're basically doing research in advance as you go.
Yes, exactly. Although, I have had a thought of sending her abroad. I was thinking of sending her to you, quite frankly.
Okay.
And I have never been over there, so I got to do some research.
Well, hit me up if you ever want to know anything. I don't know. Our country's huge. I'll tell you that.
Right. So I'd have to. Well, if she's driving around, but I would have to pick a few destinations.
East Coast. I'm very familiar with the East Coast of Australia, but the middle is just all desert, as you probably know. So there's nothing there. But I've heard somewhere, I'm pretty sure it's in Western Australia, there is a ranch, I think you'd call it a ranch, like a farm, that is the size of Texas.
Wow.
So that's
as someone who has driven through Texas,
yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But all our population seems to be coastal mainly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool spots. And it was so funny. I watched the most recent Planet of the Apes that they did, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes or whatever. And it opens up, opening shot, and I'm going like, that's a gum tree. And I'm just going like, this is Australia, and then they go here and they go there, and then it's a few hours from where I live. I'm going, I know that place. It's a really cool old abandoned train tunnel, and I'm just going like, I know exactly where that is, and it's just.
I love that.
So plenty of cool places to go to down here. I actually climbed a couple of months ago. I climbed our highest mountain in Australia, and I met 3 Americans on top of it.
Just sitting there waiting for you.
No, I kind of met halfway up.
Like, here, have a Starbucks.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like a guy from Chicago and a girl, another guy from LA somewhere. And it was just random, just how you doing?
That's crazy. Yeah. So she's going to meet people relatively. I think you've got like a couple more chapters, and she's going to start to meet the community, if you will.
Yeah. And
kind of be brought into that world and learn some things. And there's this whole V community out there living the van life that who knew?
Yeah, and it's cool. I love the concept of her not only learning to be by herself, but to what is this whole vampire thing like? Is this true? Is that true?
Right.
you know, and that does lead into what I was going to ask you about chapter 3, where she's doing some research, you know,
Right.
and I'm wondering, did you just write down what you did for research, or
Yes.
yes,
Yes, I did. Sugar's journey is my journey. One of the reasons it took me so long to write this, and I actually had the idea for this book before I wrote the last series. I had this idea first,
no,
but I just couldn't figure out how to get into it because I
yeah,
didn't feel like I honestly knew her.
yeah,
And then I thought, you know something, if because I had lived in New York City, when I was right out of college and went right into advertising. And I thought, if this was me, if this happened to me,
yeah,
what would I do? And I would be completely put out first. I would
yeah,
really be pissed off. But, at some point I would calm down and be like, where am I going to go for information?
yeah,
And so she starts reading different books and watching movies. And then as I myself was doing that, I thought, go back to the beginning. What's the oldest book you can find, or the oldest written material
yeah,
that you can find about vampires? And maybe that will be the closest to the truth, because, it wasn't for the screen. It wasn't about, big red juicy boy lips,
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
he almost looks
yeah,
like a woman. I love him,
yeah,
like, um, that
yeah,
thing that we do. And so I thought, let me, what's happening back then?
yeah,
And yeah, and I found these stories, and it was so it blew me away, just the the in that time period where it was just understood that if somebody was incredibly upset, they might just die.
yeah,
It just that just happened. People were just so thrown, and they just couldn't take it, and it was upsetting, and he died. And it was it was often women. And I'm like, and that was frustrating me, how uh women just couldn't do anything on their own.
yeah,
And I thought, okay, if it's frustrating me, then it's going to frustrate the hell out of Sugar, because
yeah,
she's actually living it.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I that was my research and everything I
yeah,
read and all that.
yeah. So did you pick up? Did you watch any newer movies, or just stick to the older one? Because Nicolas Cage did one recently where he played Dracula.
Yes, I watched that.
How funny is that?
That was, the Renfield character was great.
Yeah,
His whole story. Nicolas Cage was so over the top.
I know, but that worked so well.
It did.
Yeah.
There was also a relatively recent one with Tilda Swinton.
Yes.
I can't remember who the guy was. It's such a quiet vampire movie, and it's
Yeah.
very look, this is just the practicalities of, this is the life we're living, and this is what we're doing. And having done the research I did and thinking about it the way I've thought about it, I was like, they are spot on. That's exactly right. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I kind of always feel like Tilda Swinton can do anything.
Oh, she's great. She's great. Another one of my favorite vampire movies was that, as ridiculous as it sounds, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
It's crazy.
And you got to admit, it's so well written, like taking a historical fact and just throwing vampires into it, and you go like, it kind of works,
Yeah. Oh, I was for it. Yeah, I do love those. I do love those kind of movies, and I love a movie that like American Werewolf in London, where I mean, the effects aren't what they are now, but just that whole, like, oh, I'm a werewolf. This sucks. Like, what? What do I have to do?
Yeah.
And just that, like, I've got to solve the craziest problem,
Yeah.
and somehow still kind of fit in, and yeah.
Get going. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. No, well, I
Yeah, like her.
definitely look. That's all right.
No,
Yeah,
go.
I definitely look forward to finishing it. I'll probably finish it pretty quickly. I've got a holiday coming up, so
Well, no rush. It doesn't come out till the 25th.
yeah. Well, I'll finish it because I got granted one of the manuscripts ahead of time.
Yes, you did.
I did, but I may just get a hard copy. Might get one for Ryan too.
Well, I would happily sign them for you, and I would love to hand deliver them in doing research. But if
Doing
not,
research.
I'll show up and
Cool.
sign them.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. But before I interrupted you, what were you saying?
Oh, that's a
Or
good question. What
have you
was I
lost your train
saying?
of thought?
I'm sure it was something.
You said the word she, so I'm assuming it was about
She,
sugar.
she,
Give me some more sugar.
sugar. So that I'll tell you the name. I'll tell you how the name Sugar Bernstein came up. So I was always a Marilyn Monroe fan when I was a kid, and there's a movie Some Like It Hot, and her name is Sugar Kowalczyk in that movie, and I love incongruity. So that's kind of, so I took sugar from that, and then I just gave her this very Jewish last name. So I thought that was a ton of fun. Oh, I know what I was going to say is, when she talks to her brother, speaking of incongruity, he's the brother's got a daughter who's going to be bat mitzvahed, and he doesn't understand why Sugar keeps like saying she can't go. And it's just, oh yeah, family stuff. How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a vampire now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole can I come in? You know how they got to get invited to come in.
Oh yeah, that is a thing in this book.
Which is probably my favorite joke from Renfeld. When he walks into his apartment and Nicolas Cage, Dracula's in his apartment, he's going like, "How did you get in?" And the doormat says, "Welcome, come on in."
That's right.
It's so good.
So I learned that back when I saw Lost Boys for the first time.
All right, cool, yeah.
Was that you had to be invited in? That was another great one.
Yeah, I learned that from it's an old movie, not that old, probably 15 years old, called Let Me In. With there's a French version or something. There's an American version with Chloe Grace Moretz. She was like a girl from Denzel Washington movie, The Equalizer, the first one. I think she was in that.
Okay.
But yeah, she played like an 11, 12-year-old vampire, and she makes friends with a boy, and it's very good movie.
Young vampires. See, that's a real question for me, and it obviously Anne Rice dealt with it, with making the young vampire, because it really isn't. It's a challenge. How like nobody hears about Jesus after he's born for like some time.
Yeah, like there's a whole section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vampire years. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not saying anything about Jesus. I'm just saying that we don't know his story for
that section.
For that section. Yeah. And that's actually something that I'm having to deal with for the second book.
Yeah.
It's, it's been so interesting. The research, how it's amazing to me that in almost every culture, historically, there is some sort of vampire legend. And it just, I could have spent this whole book talking about all the different, I had to put story there, and I'm like, oh, people who are so into vampires are going to go, well, you didn't say this, you didn't say that, you left out this. I'm like, I can't do the history of vampires and tell a story.
Yeah. Well, if Sugar ever makes it to Australia, you should look up the Australian one. It's really weird. It's the Aboriginal, the natives of Australia. they have one. It's just really weird and creepy. It's a little different. I think they it's like they eat people and then they spit them out or something like that. It's just weird, you know.
That's horrible.
I got to double check, but it's like they kind of like hang upside down in trees, eat someone, and then when they spit them out, then they're a vampire. I don't know. It's weird. It's been a long time since I looked it up. Our mythology is creepy.
Well, it's there's so different kinds, and some were like almost magical, almost like elfinly magical. It was just that I couldn't go.
Yeah.
Couldn't cotton to that. That didn't work for me. I like things that were more concrete.
Yeah. So you didn't want to go for like the flamboyanty type of vampire too much, did you? Or I mean, they got like that opening prologue was a little like there was piranhas in it, like but
the villain in the first book is the most flamboyant.
Yeah.
And I was actually just paging through Vogue and looking at different fashion things, and I was very clear on what she was wearing.
Yeah.
Like every time we see the villain, I have a different outfit for her.
Yeah.
And I played dress up with her, and that kind of became a thing. I think it depends on the person. I mean, one thing that I was very clear on that I wanted to have happen in this book is if you weren't born a vampire, if you were made a vampire, then things that you were good at before, you are better at now.
Cool. Yeah, so amplify.
Like those skills increase, all your senses increase, all this kind of stuff. If you sucked at something before, you probably still suck. You can't get over that.
Yeah. You have this epic charismatic vampire, and it's like, I just can't make an IKEA table. I just can't.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. So so there's definitely room for flamboyance.
Yeah.
And like I said, she's coming down to the south, not far from New Orleans in the next book. So things will get big.
Yeah.
But the friends kind of take it in different directions.
Yeah.
They all have their own styles.
Yeah. Now, do you solve the issue? This is the one issue I have with vampires. So they can't see their reflection, but they always look so amazing. Like
okay. Couple things.
Friends?
So in my telling, which some may say is true, they cannot clearly see their reflection. They're definitely kind of muddled.
Yeah.
But one of the things about being a vampire is it makes you more attractive. It's part of how, it's kind of how you catch the fly. It's part of how they pull people in to continue their non-lifestyle. So she can see what she's wearing.
Yeah.
She's never really going to see her face again. If there's a splash of blood across her face, she can tell. Yeah. So she sees how clothes are laying on her.
Yeah, cool. No, that's cool.
I hope that helps you.
No, that does. That's a really cool take. That's
everything was like I was thinking of physics with this. I was like looking up like biology, and it was like, I didn't realize it was going to be, my last series was so completely 100% in the real world that even creating a world this much adds a whole other level of thinking. And like, I don't think I would ever write a time travel story because I have never been completely satisfied with a time travel story.
Yeah.
there's always something that's like, oh, that's a little bit of a loose end, and you just want me to get over it.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Like, again, me, Back to the Future, favorite movie series, but I have so many questions. There's so many things that don't work, and but yeah, no, that it's always been tricky. I can't think of one that nails it all that well. I mean, the last.
Now I'm trying to think.
The last, I don't know if you watched the Avengers movies, but the last big Avengers movie, that was a completely different take on time travel, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Was that the one where I didn't see the whole thing, which is a horrible way to drop into a movie like that.
Yeah. They had to go back in time and steal all these stones.
Yes.
But they're like, the way they presented it is, well, it's not really the past because it's a continuation of your future, kind of like it's like an alternate reality almost kind of thing. So it was it did your head in, like thinking about it, but it still made sense in a way. But it's time travel is just, it's so hard to do.
It's there's a good. The movie's called About Time.
Yes, I've heard of it.
And it's kind of a romantic comedy with an interesting twist on time travel. And that's worth a watch, I'd say. Yeah.
Cool. So we can
after you watch What Makes Sammy Run, which was directed by me, and then V-Love, which was also directed by me. I was going to let Quentin Tarantino do it, but I'll take it.
I'm surprised how many movies he hasn't done. Because he's done like 10 movies or something. Like he doesn't pump them out like Ridley Scott or anyone,
Right.
Which I think can be cool, because it's like, you want to take your time on this movie, you want to make it the best thing that it can be, and it's just a rarity.
Interesting, because I wrote my last series so quickly, and I think I'm still writing this relatively quickly compared to how a lot of people write, but I've slowed down a little bit, and I find that maybe I think I'm about 15,000 words into book 2, and I'm just now like, I know who he is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Where you have some major like, yep, that, okay, that.
Yeah. And then you got to go back and tweak things.
Well, I mean, I think I did 7 official editing passes of the current book. Then I gave it to Mr. Parker, who is my first line of defense editor.
Yeah.
And I think he went through it 3 times. Then I gave it to the proofreader. Then I got it back and did one more pass.
Yeah.
So a lot.
Yeah. It's because I'm working on a novella at the moment. Second one in a zombie trilogy. And
I love zombies.
Yeah, mine are different, like annoyingly different. Because I wanted to do things differently. I don't go back and look at all the lore. I go, nah, if they made new zombies in 28 days, so, that's the birth of the running zombie and stuff like that, then I can make my own type. That's the kind of mentality I had. But I'm on my second draft, and I'm going like, ugh, changing this, changing that. It's like, because basically the premise is it's a 3 series, originally screenplays, but now I'm turning them into books, where the zombie apocalypse happens at a Bucks party.
At a box party?
At a Bucks party, but it's a medieval theme, so everyone's dressed up as knights, and and then the whole shtick is the best man knew it was going to happen, and kind of, instead of warning anyone because he didn't think anyone would believe him, he just prepped for it, like insanely prepped for it, as much as he could, like to the point of going like, well, if it's going to happen in the cities, we're going to have a Bucks party out in the middle of nowhere. The girls are going to have a hen's night at the same time. So the second one's called Hen's Night with a K. And and then the third one's called Weddings Night, like, all with a K, and it's just like the insane idea of still trying to get married while there's a zombie apocalypse kind of happening.
That's great. So are the zombies? Is this like an infection?
Not purely. It is the water supply.
Okay.
So basically, they've contaminated the water supply, and if you drink the water or have a bath or have a shower, then you turn into a zombie, and that basically eats people. But so I got a cool scene in the second one where someone gets bitten. Like they find a guy that's he's been bitten, and he's got a gun, and he's basically killed himself because he thought he was going to turn, but then he wasn't going to turn. So it's kind of toys on that thing as well, but it's much like V Life, where it's dark, but then there's a lot of comedy and
right. So so here's where my head is with.
Yeah.
I'm like, the horror of not being able to shower on your wedding day.
Yeah. Well, there's that, but also, like, if it's, like a lot of the country folk who live on rain, like I live on rainwater, so that's not tainted.
Okay.
It's just like the cities with the big, with the water, they all run from the same water supply, so contaminate. But yeah, but I love the whole idea of, like, you're out scrounging around for food and water, and you don't know if the water's safe or not. Like, that's gonna mess with your kind of thing.
This is good.
Yeah, but that's what I'm doing. The second one's been harder because it's all about the girls, and like basically they've been told not to go into town because it's not safe. Go straight to the campsite where we are. But she's left a wedding dress, and she wants to go get a wedding dress, and there's a friend in there with a wedding dress, and they're like,
it's the dress to die for.
It's pretty much. It's like, so it's. I like to what I've done, and what I guess the thought I have is, how lucky are these people? Like, they should be dead. Like, it's just all these scenarios where it's just like, literally, luck is on their side. That's all they can, say. But,
Do you have a title?
Okay, well, the first one's called
Bucks. You told me the titles.
Yeah, Bucks Night is the first one, which is already out. Hen's Night is the second one, and Weddings Night is the third one.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the second one's all about the dress, and then the third one's all about finding a priest to marry them.
Now I'm just thinking about, like, do you need a priest, or can you do like somebody who?
No, well, she's like, no, it's being done proper. They gotta go find the family. I think I did the and it's so funny because I wrote this, or I came up with this idea before that there was a TV show that only had one season on Netflix called Irreverent, where a mobster gangster from Chicago flees to Australia to not get killed. Essentially, he's got someone's money with him, and he's on the plane, and there's a priest next to him heading to a small little country town in Queensland, and he has a existential midlife crisis and steals this mobster's money, gets him drunk and steals all his money, and then so this gangster has to go to try and find out where he's gone. And so he goes to the church where this guy was, a little tiny church, and has to pose as a priest until he figures out this guy is. It's hilarious. But the show opens up with like a wedding on the beach, and then the priest gets eaten by a crocodile. And so they're like, okay, get the next priest, that sort of thing. So I open with in wedding night, or I got the idea early on that they're having the ceremony, and then like the priest is so old that he literally dies before he can marry them, like on the altar, just bang. It's like they're so close to the, it's like mid do you take, and then
that's perfect.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's what I'm working on, but we're not here to talk about me. So where well, it's out the 25th, did you say? When's V-Life coming out?
Yeah, it launches June 25th. I mean, June 25th.
Yeah. And that'll be June 26th for us Australians. Just letting our audience know.
June 26th, Australia time.
Australia time, yes, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to finishing it, and guys, definitely check it out. It's a great book, and just quickly for the people that haven't, heard the first interview with you, just give us a snippet of Careful-ish series.
Okay. Careful-ish series. So that is 6 friends, 6 20-something friends in New York City during the beginning of COVID lockdown, drinking too much and making bad choices. It's so funny to read it now. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot all that stuff. But it starts out with, you're meeting these people and you're like, oh my God, these people are nuts. But the more time you get to spend with them and the more they start to reveal themselves, the kind of more like us they seem. And as we just get parts of their lives and what they're dealing with. And I think, during COVID, we all looked at ourselves a little more. Whether we liked what we saw, that is up for grabs. But it's very human. I've had people read it and say, God, I wish I had these friends. These are great. These are great people. And they make some bad choices, bad decision making on their part. But they've got friends.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Before we let you go, just tell us where people can buy your books, where your socials, anything you want to plug. Just plug.
Okay, sure. You can, my website is honeyparkerbooks.com. Very, very simple, Honey Parker Books. And since this comes out before the book launches on the 25th, if you go to honeyparkerbooks.com and sign up for the newsletter, which is free and you only get it once a month, so I don't fill up your inbox. But if you sign up for the newsletter before the book launch, there's going to be a bonus for you. So you may want to get in on that. Just saying. I'm on Instagram at Honey Parker Books. I'm on Facebook at Honey Parker Books. I'd like to be obscure like that. But yeah, and I'm also available for, I sit in on people's book clubs via Zoom and children's parties.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And guys, as always, if you want to, all our information's in the show notes, but if you want to send us an email, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. We're on Instagram stories_podcast, Facebook, YouTube. We are everywhere. Just Google us, you'll find us. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Honey Parker.
In 1932, the Australian Army declared war on 20,000 emus and lost. It's a part of Australian history that not many know about. Maybe that's because history is written by those who win. So if you want to hear the full story of the Great Emu War of 1932, then check out my book, Letters from the Emu War. Read letters, newspaper articles, and journal entries. With every turn of the page, you will gain a deeper understanding of the life and times of emus at war. So head on over to jabryden.com and grab a signed copy today.